Hi, my name's Matt. My topic is going to be on war. Everyone has at least seen one war movie in their life, such as Saving Private Ryan. And in almost every war movie you see, it shows war as a tragedy. Whenever people think of war, you think of destruction, famine, death. But the question that some may ask is, can we actually benefit from war? And I say you can. My claim is that, contrary to what people say about war, war is a necessity and advancement of the world socially, technologically, and economically. To support this, I'll talk about war solving domestic problems, war producing advancement in technology, and war producing medical advancement, as well as the beneficial economic factors it may produce. To start it off, I'm going to discuss war solving domestic problems. War can be seen making communities tight knit and causing people to take more action. According to the Washington Post, communities where high violence during war occurred caused for more cooperative communities, and citizens were more likely to vote. Example of this would be from a country in West Africa called Sierra Leone. Researchers saw that communities in this country were affected physically, but the outcome of this was that people were more trusting of each other and they cooperated more. This shows that people come together in times of need, and this creates also a sense of national unity and identity. And this sense of national unity and identity also leads to technological advancements, since people will be working together. Some technological advancements seen throughout history would be such as the atomic bomb, which was produced due to World War II, and then the science used to make the atomic bomb is used for other technologies such as cancer radiation for cancer and things like that. The Cold War also produced aerospace technology, and that was due to the race to the moon. And where technological advancement is found, medical advancement will be found right next to it. According to the Brought to Life organization, a science community, blood transfusions were brought into light due to the Spanish War and World War II as ways to decrease casualties. Brought to Life also shows that war-produced vaccines to diseases such as tetanus, also known as lockjaw, which is a bacterial disease that caused many casualties due to cuts and gun wounds. Also mentioned earlier, Princeton University explains that World War II brought about the medical use of radiation in order to treat cancer. As war uses tons of resources in order to produce such advancements in medicine and technology, and to support the war, the economy has to boost itself in order to get such resources. So during war, the economy can be seen as getting drained, but the aftermath is usually a strong economy due to the work done in order to provide for the period of war. An example of this is Japan during World War II. According to Peter Pham, the managing director of One World Research, after being defeated, they used their remaining resources in order to make quality products that could be exported. This really boosted their economy. By 1950 and 1951, Japan's manufacturing sector grew by 50%, and by 1952, product levels were double what they were in 1941. The same situation can be seen in Taiwan and Korea as well, and as well as America. An example of America would be in World War II as well. In order to provide for the war, they had to get the resources. And according to the American Prospect 17 million civilian jobs were created, and industrial productivity increased by 96%. And as you can see, war produces many beneficial outcomes that help the world progress. And yeah, that's basically it.
Right, Matt, the phrasing of the proposition sounded like it had multiple parts to it, so you want to be careful about that. Some of that is a predictor, or it's anticipating the secondary claims that you have. It appears that you have 4 secondary claims, and you do preview at the beginning of the speech those 4 claims, which is fine. In the body of the speech, you do kind of make transition statements between the points, but I do think you need to have a little bit more of a signpost to go along with those transition statements. So it flows pretty smoothly, but casual listeners could easily miss one of the secondary points. So maybe draw them a little bit bigger picture as you go along so they can stay up to speed with you and the arguments that you're making. The supporting information, I think, is sometimes dependent on an example that doesn't really have a lot of detail or background to it. You mentioned World War II, the atomic bomb, radiation for cancer, for instance, and those are all largely assumptions that there was some benefit that occurred from those sorts of things. A lot of people, for instance, might challenge the notion that atomic weapons have made things better in the world, that they may have, in fact, created a lot of problems, and you kind of skimp over that and just say, well, it's technological progress, so it's got to be good. The radiation for cancer is mostly asserted. So I thought that was a little bit thin. The issue of Sierra Leone, for instance, on that first point is an example. It's not a bad example, except that the outcome is so vague. It says, well, it's brought these people together, and I'm going, in what way? What did they do? This is a very conclusionary statement by the person that's written it, and I'm not exactly sure what their basis for arriving at that conclusion is. So that's a little bit problematic. The medical advancements that you mentioned blood transfusions, for instance, and you talk about a couple of other diseases that came along. There's not really any. There was one source that you cited at the beginning of this. I'm not sure that that's where the rest of the information in that argument came from. If it all came from the same source, you might want to look for some more diverse information. And then on the second point, you did not the second point, the last point about industrial development or economic benefit. You used Japan as your first example, and you had some good statistical information with a source on it about what the impact of. But I'm not exactly sure that that's because they were in the war that they had that development. There might be other explanations for that. It seems like you're just kind of assuming that because the war preceded it, that this is what caused that industrial development to increase by 50% or their productivity to double. I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying that it's not shown to be linked to the fact that they were in the war. The same thing with the United States. The number of jobs produced, though, during the war, I do think that does kind of support your argument that suggests that people's productivity goes up and there are more jobs available because there's so many things to do. Again, I think that you had a statistic on, I mean, I know you had a number on it, but I don't remember that there was a source on this. So there may be a little bit of inconsistency on that. The conclusion of the speech seemed very abrupt. It just seemed like you kind of stopped in the middle of an idea. You could use a summary and come back to the exit line. The exit line should just be a reminder of what your propositional statement is, and it'll sound a little bit smoother at the end instead of like, I joke about the Porky Pig exit, you're just done, and it just feels abrupt when you do that. All right, thank you.